And just like that old Negro spiritual, we might not show up when you want us,
but we right on time.
Right on time. That's all I can tell you. It's another Wellness Wednesday. Yours truly, Joe Dupree in the building. 100 BLK, the Black Station, along with my good friend Edward J. Brown from Positive Choices. On this Wellness Wednesday, we want you to know that your mental health matters because a healthy you
is a better you.
That part right there. So we have been in the conversation the last few Wellness Wednesdays about co-parenting. About how do you work this thing out with blended families. And man, has the conversation been getting deep up in here. Tell a friend, share this with a friend. If you want to call in and tell us about what you've been going through in co-parenting, blended families, you can. The number's right there, 225-250-8770. We will take your calls and we will be on the line to tell you what's really going on. So, without further ado,
what's going on, brother?
My brother, mother. Man, I've been just trying to hold it down. That's all I can tell you. I've just been trying to hold it down.
Listen, we've been having technical difficulties. We've been missing each other.
It's Jason Jarvis from the reservation just checked in.
What's up, brother Jarvis? What's going on? Glad to have you. It's been a lot, man, and this discussion on co-parenting and how to bring, two wholes together to make a whole has created a lot of discussion. But I want to, as usual, just like we've talked about in the past, every topic brings about another topic.
That's right.
And kind of like the shows, we always have these plans, but the topic of these shows actually choose themselves.
They very much do.
I had
they do.
One of my brothers, man, been my best friend since the second grade. He called and he asked me, he said, man, I haven't caught all the shows. He said, but do you guys ever talk about addiction? Do you ever talk about loss and grief? And I told him one of the best shows that we've had, as a matter of fact, several shows that we've had have been on grief and loss and coping and dealing with those issues of what happens when we lose a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And addiction is not one that we've actually targeted, but it's one that we definitely need to visit.
Oh yeah, we're going to go down. We're going to go down that rabbit hole. We're going down there.
Absolutely. But as we bring this kind of like this is like a threesome right here. The third chapter of this co-parenting and
correct
and bringing, like I said, two wholes together to create a whole to fruition. We're gonna have to look at that thing that we usually find to be a major elephant in the room when we start talking about co-parenting and bringing in what we call step parents versus, do you even use the term step? And one of those variables is discipline. How do you handle discipline? Now, we touched upon it a little bit in the last podcast. We talked about, what do you do when you have that out-of-home parent?
Correct.
Trying to dictate what's done in the home, okay? So in case you don't know what we're talking about, you may have the mother and let's say a stepfather.
Correct.
And the biological father of that child in the home doesn't want the stepdad to say anything to him.
In other words, I'm not in the house, but I'm running the house.
Not only am I running it, but I'm running that child and his mama still to this day. So how do you address that issue? How do you get around it? How do you incorporate it into the formation of what you're trying to do, which is basically build a family?
Correct.
All right. First thing, and then it's so funny. I don't know if anybody has really been that watches this podcast, and I'm sure they have because it's their generation, but it's more leaning towards the end of ours. This Wu-Tang Clan special that's been on Hulu.
Oh yeah,
it's very interesting.
Right, the dynamics.
the dynamics of it is very interesting. Well, the show I watched today, as I was on the treadmill, was one where the character, Old Dirty Bastard, was dating a girl, and the baby daddy and his friends kept beating him up. And one of his friends said, what you need to do is appeal to the brother on the mature side. Appeal to him. So he goes to the dude. He said, look, man, we don't need to be fighting. We don't need to be doing, because I like your girl and I want to do this. And the guy punched him in the mouth. So what we have to do is start to say, in an ideal world, we incorporate all parties involved.
Correct.
All parties. You get that brother's feedback. My advice would be is to sit down with him and the mother, the three of you, and say, okay, what are we going to do in the event that discipline needs to be issued? It's unrealistic for us to say every time we do something in this house, we're going to call you. That's just unrealistic.
Correct.
But if all parties can agree that everyone is there for the betterment of who?
The child.
The child. Then you should have a situation that the three of you can come to agreement on. What's it? Separating amongst parent figures causes unwanted tension. Tension, we talked about the past two shows we had about this co-parenting thing. Tension is going to be there when you have unresolved issues.
Correct.
There's going to be tension when there's unresolved issues.
Listen, let's be real about this, family. A lot of the times the issues that you have co-parenting has to do with relationship issues that were unresolved during the breakup. Let's call a spade. I can't use the clinical terms, but I can talk to you from the school of hard knocks, and I can tell you straight up. Here's the thing. A lot of you guys, she ain't about nothing until she get with a guy who's all of a sudden treating her like a queen. You listen, ladies, he ain't about nothing until all of a sudden there's a woman that shows up and starts treating him like a king. Now all of a sudden you hot, because most folks don't want to tell the truth about it, but you don't like seeing your ex doing better with someone else, because somewhere along the line you feel that that's a reflection on what you are short and in your own shortcomings when it comes down to dealing with relationships.
Now that is profound in the sense that, let me show you what I'm talking about. That's a very profound statement, because you immediately showed exactly what occurs in these relationships. And you know what it is? You made it about them and not about the child.
Right.
You immediately made it about you and that ex, or you and that other person, and not about the child. I have seen people, and unfortunately, use the children as a pawn to get back at that other person because they just have some unresolved issues. And lo and behold, don't let you be with the individual that maybe caused your breakup. I definitely don't want that person around my child. And that is when you see these situations take a turn for a clinical worse, when you start to say, I don't want that person around my child because I don't like them. If there is valid info, the person may have an addiction, or the person may be, gangbang, I don't know. Whatever it is, there may be some really bad, then that's an issue to discuss amongst the two of you, the three of you. Correct. And not some way where we try to force our will on a person, not because it's in the best interest of the child, but because I just don't like what you did to me and you and I 20 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 months ago. And one of the things that we talked about last podcast that we definitely have to look at is, too often we have people who say, I don't know what's wrong with our child, but he's acting out. He is acting out. I don't know what's wrong with him. You don't know what's wrong with him. Well, the fact that they constantly hear you trashing his dad or you're trashing his mom.
Right, that part.
You know, and how can they not feel as though that had something to do with them? Because what you don't understand, if a child hears their name,
right,
regardless of the subject matter, it's about them.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So now you see this child and he's saying, I'm sorry that I'm a bad kid. What makes you say you're a bad kid? I heard you and my stepdad arguing about me.
Mm.
And here's that statement. Here's that statement that literally, if you want to see the hair stand up on my arms, it have when you tell a child you're gonna be just like them.
Right.
Or they hear you say it. You know, you tell that woman, if you keep treating him like that, he gonna be just like his good for nothing daddy.
Right. And see, and here's the sad thing. You cannot put all the bad attributes of the other partner on the child. See, that's where the resentment comes in. And family, that's why we got, listen, we're talking real life situation here is that we know that a lot of you, including, we've all been through it in some shape, form, or fashion. That even if it's not a blended family, many a times you got to be careful how you put certain blames on the children.
Are the words that you use.
Are the words, right? You got to watch the words that are coming out of your mouth because they carry weight. They carry a great deal of weight. And see, you know what I've come to discover? Folk talk a good game, but your actions, and then children ain't crazy. When you talking a good game, but your actions don't line up with your conversation.
What I usually say, and I'm writing a chapter, it says your audio don't match your video.
Hold it, watch this. Or the better yet, the favorite line of most of us. Do as I say, don't do as I do.
Hey, is that not how we were raised? But we're from different generations when we see things like children are seen and not heard. But children may be seen and not heard, but they constantly listening. They're paying attention. They're absorbing. I teach my students, children are like dry erase boards. You have to be careful who you let write on them. You have to be very careful. So now here we are, and this is how difficult. And I want to show you how the formation of a family is already a strain in itself. You have two whole individuals, a man and a woman.
Come on.
Two whole individuals coming together to try to make a whole.
Come on.
Okay? One of the greatest myths ever created is that a relationship is 50-50. A relationship is 100-100 because you're not coming in 50% of a man.
Correct.
And she's not coming in 50% of a woman. So it comes in as a difficult, a difficult situation in a sense, because we got to take two wholes to make a whole.
Correct.
So now introduce the variable of children. Because once you get to a certain age in life, it's going to be difficult to find individuals that don't have children on some, they maybe have a daughter or a son, and they may not be married, but they're interested in building a life with you.
Right.
And the worst thing, well, that ain't mine. I mean, I love you, but that ain't much. How can you love someone and not love all parts of them?
Correct. That part.
Well, it happens. It happens. We develop these ideologies of it's about me and it's not about us.
Right. That part.
It becomes that we're building something, but now you're dragging this baggage with you.
Okay. So hold on for 1 second, because this girl wrote a novel. Miss Brown, you need to call in. She wrote a novel. She said, when my parents divorced in my preteens, the tension between my parents resulted in a strained relationship between us kids and our mother. Our mother did everything she could to keep us away from my dad. Daddy wasn't having it. She wanted us to hate his new wife who had nothing to do with their divorce. Wow. You need to call it. We need to get a little more information on this one. But that was a novel you just
what
wrote
is very obvious is that there was unresolved issues.
Right.
That happened. There was unresolved. There was anger. There was bitterness. And what I'm looking for is allies.
Right. Hold it. Did you see the last part of the statement? The last part of the statement was very interesting to me. She said she wanted us to hate his new wife who had nothing to do with their divorce. Now,
what do they say today? She was looking for a co-signer for the way she was feeling about this woman.
Correct.
I want y'all to feel the same way about this woman that I feel.
Though the woman had absolutely nothing to do with her and her ex-husband and their relationship falling apart. Now, there are folks out there who deal with folks who did have something to do with their parents' separation. And family, either way it goes, here's what I tell people. You cannot put children into adult situations. Back to my brother.
But what's very profound about that is the comment, my dad was not having it.
Right.
He was an impact enough in their lives for them to realize this lady, he was able to communicate, talk. This lady had nothing to do with anything that went on. She didn't do anything but treat y'all nice. She's respectful.
Correct.
And you're going to be respectful. You know, and they were cognitive enough to realize this lady has done us no wrong.
Correct.
This lady has done my mother no wrong.
Correct.
You understand? But nonetheless, we're getting a good example of how when we have these unresolved issues inside of us, we try to project them. There's a term for my students that we talk about, projection. We try to project our feelings onto other individuals.
Correct.
Mom was trying to project, but dad was like, we're not having that. We're not having
not today.
That.
Not today. Not today. You gonna learn today.
So imagine the strain that it would have been if in this situation they did bite. So now every time they're around their father's wife, they're projecting that anger, that hostility, that dislike that really didn't come from them. It was just passed on to them by their mother.
Correct.
Now, that's a great example for exactly what occurs in these situations where we have these young families trying to blend families together. Now listen, here's another saying that applies in some of these situations. I don't want you, but I don't want nobody else to have you either.
Ooh, hold it. Say that slow and again for those way in the back that really can't hear too well.
Yeah. I don't want you, but I don't want nobody else to have you either. And that's where they try to interject that control, that sense of if there's anything regarding this one, you call me. Well, it ain't going to always be necessary to call you because this is just as much his mother as you are his father.
Correct.
You're no more or less of a parent than they are. So what I have a tendency to do
stop. You can't just say that and run away from that, brother. Hold on. I got to come back into view on that one.
Okay.
Folk have to give, you just said something that's deep. Folk have to give equal responsibility, equal respect to both parents. One parent ain't better than the other. One parent don't do more than the other. Well, now in real life, there are some deadbeat dads and some deadbeat moms.
Yeah, we're going to get into that the whole second half of this hour. We're going to get into it. Because what we're not talking about, this is our third show on this topic. And what we have yet to talk about is what happens when you have the child that's the actual chaos within the blended family. What happens when you are doing everything in your power to make this family whole, and all you hear is, "You not my daddy.
You not my mama.
You not my mama. You can't tell me what to do." So we're going to talk about that in the second half of the hour. But what we're talking about now is so now you have this mother and this father, one of which is not the biological. Instead of looking at it as a deficit, we need to start looking at it as an asset.
Come on.
Think about this. In addition to, let's say if you have a stepmom and a father, in addition to having one mother, now you have two.
Correct.
You understand? And we don't see it that way. That's why the term step, I never was really a big fan of it. This is my stepdaughter, or this is my stepdad, or this is my stepmom. I've never been a big fan. But when it comes up and it's a problem, is because when you hear that mother hear their child call another woman, "This is my mama." That ain't your mama. You don't have but one mama, and that's me. That's your stepmama. Because some way, somewhere, that is a little bit less than the other.
Correct.
A stepmom is less of a mother than a mama.
Correct.
Brother Dupree is not. And we can't allow, and we can't continue to go with, allowing it to be minimized or marginalized.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, and that's real talk, because it is situations like that make videos like the video of the young lady who asked for her phone back from the teacher. And all of a sudden the fight broke out and the chaos broke out, because when you start teaching children that they are equal to adults, Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah. And that is part of the generational breakdown that's been happening since the early 80s, and when you hear, well, they didn't respect me, so I didn't respect them. That was never an issue for our generation. No matter what, you were not disrespectful.
Right.
And when she felt comfortable getting into an adult space, that's a good segue leading us into the second half of the conversation. How children can be so manipulative and can be so, what's the word I'm looking for? They can taint a good situation so easily, is something that we have to talk about.
Correct. Hey, because
what happens when the child is the reason for all of the negative energy that's being speared within a relationship?
He is the protagonist.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now,
how we handle that?
One of the things that can we can talk about it for an hour. I can give it to you in 5 seconds, like I'm gonna do. You have to have a unified front.
That part.
You have to have a unified front. If a child who is trying to be manipulative believes and feels they can divide and conquer, they've won half the battle. I've already got half the battle. I only need to win the other half. If I got mama saying, well, you right, don't worry about it, I'll handle that. That child is sitting there saying, okay, I got my mama in my corner.
Right, that part.
As long as I got my mama in my corner, I only got half of a battle to win. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you can't tell me what to do. Ain't that right, mama? Now, mom has just been put where like all the lights went out in the room and a big spotlight shine on. Because as a father, a stepdad, a man in the house, you're looking to say, let me see what you're going to say. Now, there are times where they'll say, well, you're talking about it, but you're not telling us what's the solution. I am. there has to be a unified front.
Right.
If you guys do not both have the same mission, then there is going to be a problem where division can be created.
Correct.
If you both are on the same pattern,
right,
you're on the same line,
correct,
you're on the same path, there's no problem. Because guess what? Mama, can I go to the dance? And all of a sudden, mom see a peculiar look on your face, and she's like, what's wrong? Well, she just asked me, could she go to the dance? And I said no. The issue, now think about this, the issue is no longer the dance.
Right. It's who has the authority.
The issue now is who's running the show.
Right. Who has the authority? And you know, back in our days, I think your mom and dad probably were just like my mom and dad. My father one time told me, don't ever go to your mama and ask her something that you know you should have came
and turn around and ask me to.
Right. That you know you should have asked me first, and you for some odd reason couldn't have that virtue of patience. So you ran to her and said, Mama, can I do this? And she said no. Mm-hmm. And then you turn around and look at me to override it when you should have came to me first, because we have a rule. Whoever says yes or no first, that's who wins. So that's where you have to set boundaries like that. Look, if the child came to you first and you said no, I'm not going to override you.
But okay, let's look at it from a clinical perspective.
Talk to me.
You say, well, you're not my daddy, but nothing makes you more my daddy than my mama. Okay? So if you are a stepmom, nothing makes you more my mama than my daddy. So it is nothing more powerful than for the two of you to be on the same page. And that man looks at that woman that you call your stepmama and says, what did she say?
Right, that part.
And you looking at him like, but you're my dad. And he's looking right back at you saying, what did she tell you?
Correct. The unified
front. Now wait, this is where it gets clinical, brother.
Come on.
You think there's a division there because now you feel there's a disconnect between you and your child, but it's not. What it actually does is it shows that child we are a family.
Correct.
You understand? There is no more him and it is no more her. It's them. And eventually when they mature, it becomes us.
Correct.
Oh man, that's good right there. We got to take a minute to talk about that.
Come on.
You think that we care about doing more, we care more about doing what's popular than we care about doing what's right. So we have these sidebars. And that's okay, because there's always going to be a heavy and there's always going to be a nurturer. You have to have that balance. So sometimes what the heavy does is the heavy drops the gauntlet. Boom, this is what is not going to happen, and you're not going to do that. And you have to say, that's exactly right, what they said.
Correct.
But then there's that nurturer side. And that nurturer is that person that goes in and says, I know you don't like what was said, but it was done for your best. No, it's not. He don't like me. She don't say that. And you agreed with him. That doesn't make any sense. What we're doing, you see that W, what we're doing is what we feel is in your best interest. Well, you didn't say that last time you told me. No, I didn't say that. We are going to do what is best for you. But when you start saying, well, you right, well, I'm gonna talk to your daddy about it. they immediately just feel, then that's not my daddy. This is the psychological formation of how do you incorporate a family entity into the mind of a child, especially when they're developing a cognitive outlook of what a family looks like.
Come on, talk to me.
You my mom. I know that. You are my. So this is the dude that you're dating. He ain't my daddy. Okay, maybe he's not if you're dating. But if there is a point in that relationship where it becomes a permanent entity, a marriage, a husband, you have to form a unified front, or else there is going to be a power struggle within the family.
Correct.
There's going to be a power struggle with that child. If it's a stepmom and it's a daughter, you ain't my mama. You can't tell me what to do. Like I said before, the dad makes them the mom. The mom makes him the dad. When we start to realize that, then you see less manipulation, because they start to realize, well, he ain't going to do nothing but tell her. She ain't going to do nothing but tell him. And here I am out on this island all by myself. And it is never a prettier sight than when the two of you go on that island and get that young person and bring them back into the family.
It's so true.
They put themselves on that island because I can't count on you, mama, because you done went on his side. I can't count on you, daddy, because you on her side. And then the two of you together go and get that young person and say, you know, we love you.
Right.
You know you're a part of this family.
Right.
But you ain't going to be able to play the ends against the middle.
That's right.
He loves you, I love you, and together we love you. Now, that answers that question. When the stress is coming on your relationship from the child, a child don't have that much power if you don't give it to him.
Correct. And that is the point. To whom you give the attention and the power to, that is what you crown the king or the queen of the situation.
A child doesn't have power unless you give it to him. You know, I had a lady laughing. I had a session today. It is not possible. It is not physically possible for a child to hold their breath till they die. We have to start to look at bringing our children back into the family fold, regardless of the family dynamics. Now, here's the interesting thing. You cannot say that let's say you're that parent that's out of the home. You cannot say that you're all about the betterment of that child if you are constantly trying to throw shade inside the home.
Correct.
You are trying to kick up dust inside the home. It is not possible for you to say, well, I want what's best for my child. Well, what's best for them is to live in a healthy family environment. And right now, you ain't promoting that. To hear, or you have your time with the child, and the child comes back and look at you and say, Daddy, what is a hoe? And you like, what? Mama said that your girlfriend is a hoe. So now that child is looking at this woman that they live with. And they're trying to say, well, you're a hoe. You know, you're 3 years old, 4 years old. You're a hoe. And the woman is looking at you like, well, baby, I'm going to talk to his mama. And you have to create that unified front. That's not a hoe. This is my girlfriend, or this is your mother.
Right, right.
Mama say I only have one mama.
This your bonus mom.
Right, that's right. This is an extra. This is land, like we say down south. This land yap.
Right. This your bonus mom. But you know, hold on. I want you to bookmark that, because let me be a little bit transparent here. You know, I really wish adults would do adult things when it comes down to being parents. I
I
want to say that again. I wish adults would do adult things when it comes down.
I wish eggs were still under $3 a dozen too.
I know, and I'm pretty sure there's some folks in hell wish there was a glass of ice water somewhere around. But what I'm saying is, family, we really, and if you really look at a lot of the issues that we deal with, I teach a class, a cognitive class on how do you better yourself when you made mistakes. Brother Brown is a professor at Alcorn University, Alcorn State University, and we're here. But when I really sit down and look at most of the folks I have to deal with, guess what I realize? The reason as an adult you are so messed up, you had mama and daddy issues when you were a child that were never resolved. And it transferred into your adulthood. And now you have watch. I tell people this all the time in my class: facts, feelings, hearsay. Stick to the facts, stay out your feelings, and don't listen to hearsay. But here's the problem with all that. Most of us are built on what was poured into us. And our opinions and our values are based on how we grew up and what we saw. And guess what? A lot of us didn't see the right thing. So we were, sadly to say, we were raised wrong, and we took that wrongness into our adult life, and we put a check mark at the back of it that said, because mama and daddy did it, this is the right way to do it.
Yeah, but especially when we normalize wrong.
Come on.
When we normalize wrong,
right,
it's hard to change.
Right.
My grandma did it. My mama did it. I must be next in line to do it. We cannot normalize wrong. And at the end of the day, when you are not doing right by your child in regards to their other parents. There were times where we would have to, you try to go and see your son or you try to go and see your daughter, and all of a sudden, because you didn't give them $20 last month, you can't see the child. Or well, he ain't home. And you're like, I know he home. I just talked to him an hour ago and he told him I was coming to get him. Well, you can't see him because if you ain't gonna pay his for a new pair of shoes, then you can't see him. We start to use our children as pawns.
Correct.
And we don't expect that to impact them. Wrong is wrong.
No matter who do it.
You don't make right wrong just because you don't think nobody know about it.
Come on, speak on that.
You know what I mean? Just because nobody saw it don't mean it ain't wrong.
Come on.
So we are here and we're talking about the impact blended families have on our children and on family dynamics. But we don't want to look at the reason this child is angry is because they're feeding off your anger because you got unresolved issues with that man. You have unresolved issues with that woman. And now the child is in the house with you. And instead of spending your time with that child, building a relationship, helping them become well-rounded individuals, you asking them who coming in and out daddy's house. Who your mama seeing. And the child feels put in the middle because they actually love both of you. And now there's this third person. Oh, man, we're about to get into good. Think about this. I'm a little girl, and I'm living with my daddy. My daddy has I have a stepmom.
Come on.
When I go to my mom's house, I have to pretend I do not like that lady.
Come on.
Imagine the pressure that puts on a child.
Right.
I have to pretend, well, she ain't never hit you, did she? Nah, but she yelled. I don't like her, mama. I know, because she ain't a nice one. And all the while, you love that woman.
Right. But you can't let go. But you can't let go.
You tell your mama you like that woman.
Oh,
it's about to be There's gonna be some hot time and all time tonight, baby.
There's gonna be some furniture moved around.
There's gonna be some furniture moving around here. So you have to imagine that pressure that we put on children.
Right, that part.
That child has to play a double role. He has to play a double role. I can't go and say, Mama, me and my stepmom went to the movies. We had so much fun.
Hold on. Once again, like I said, Brother Brown, then, okay. By you putting a child in that position, you're teaching them how to be manipulative. You're teaching them how to lie. You're teaching them how to not show their true emotions. Because they feel like if I tell you how I really feel, it's going to put me in a bad situation.
Yes.
Family, we got to wake up.
Are you going to be mad at me?
Right. Hold it. We got to wake up, because here's the problem. Too many times as adults, instead of us looking our good selves in the mirror and trying to come to right standing with our own personal faults, we always try to put it on somebody else. We never put the blame on us. Oh, why didn't the relationship work? Well, let me tell you this, that, these, and those. You never say what you did. You always say what the other person did. See, and see.
It's easier to do that, though.
See, but that's the problem. I'm going to say this and I'm passing it back to you. I wrote a very long thing not too very long ago, because I am convinced that a lot of folks got purpose confused with popularity.
Absolutely. It goes back to what I just said. We rather do what's popular than do what's right.
Right. So because of this social media age and this instant, I can look on my timeline and see. And let me say this too. A lot of y'all allow way too much of your information to get put out there, and you allow your children to watch too much foolishness. You need to protect your gates. I posted that too. You need to protect what you see, what you hear, and what comes out your mouth. But some of y'all let y'all kids sit in on any and everything. They just had in the news. Let me show you how it's getting out here. They just had in the news where they rescued a 13 and a 14-year-old who had been sex trafficked for the last 6 to 7 months in Baton Rouge. And the person that was doing the trafficking had the audacity, and there's some people sweating some bullets right now, because he said the following. He said, oh yeah, y'all got me and you got the girls, but wait till I start giving up the names of the folks that I was trafficking these young ladies to. See, snitching, y'all can like it, leave it, or love it. Snitching at an all-time high. So with that being said, because see, in my days and times, if you got caught with your hand in the cookie jar and it was 4 of y'all who had plotted and planned on getting the cookies, you better not tell on the other 3.
No, especially if we didn't get caught.
But see, times have changed.
Yeah.
Times have changed. People quick to tell on everybody. And family, we've got to get better, because the children are watching. When we talk about this co-parenting thing, watch this. It's sad to me, and I don't care how much it is. It's sad to me, and if somebody got a problem with this, you can call in. It's sad to me when either a mother or a father is put on child support, and maybe that child support is just really the best they can do, but still the other parent tries to make that child feel like that parent ain't doing nothing.
You know, we have to look at, and I told you the second half of this hour was going to be very, very informative. We have to look at the formation and development of a child. Okay? You can spend $300 on a pair of Jordans and $20 on a ticket to a basketball game. That child will remember everything y'all did at that basketball game and will never remember what they had on.
Correct.
They're not going to remember the Jordans. Their mind is not set up that way. They're developing and they're thinking about activity, actions, the things that we do. So that is why we're talking about be leery, be careful of what you say about anyone that is involved in the rearing of a child in front of that child. because they will remember. They will remember what you said. And we don't want to address that. We don't want to look at that. Too often, I see my brother on here. We used to go and with one of my other brothers to pick up his son. And we would watch this kid in the window. And his mother would refuse to open the door. Now, the thing I remember about it was the look on my brother's face and the look on the child's face in the window. And I'm sitting here saying, this is just wrong on so many levels. This is wrong on so many levels. So what why do we not believe that our words hurt and cut a child? You talked about teaching the child to be manipulative, but for a child to feel the pressure of not being able to say, I like my step parent. I love them, as a matter of fact. Well, then you go on, be with them because I don't want to have nothing to do. What? Instead of saying, well, you know what? That's wonderful because you got a stepdad over there and you got me, you got two dads.
Mm-hmm.
How lucky are you? You're a lucky kid. And it's nothing like that kid feeling like I can go to either one. And it's wonderful. It's great. Both my stepdad and my dad are at my basketball games. Both my stepmom and my mom are at my cheerleader tryouts. They develop a sense of self that is so strong and so willing to go up against the world. But now you put them in a position where they gotta I can't tell my mama that me and you went to get our hair done.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can't tell her that because if I tell my mom me and you went to get our hair done, she's gonna want me to say I don't like my hair.
Hold and hold on. And though we haven't said this tonight, we do have to put this out there because this does happen. We do have men who are the cause of the child's mother and father, maybe their relationship. He was a part of the equation, or she was a part of the equation.
That's right.
Of the separation of the relationship. Mm-hmm. Now, hold on. I want to hit y'all with this, and y'all can like it, leave it, or love it. Y'all, and like I said, you can all call in if you disagree, or you can put in a comment. But the truth about it is, and it is highly difficult to do this. It's highly difficult for you to somewhat let that go for the greater good of the child, because in the back of your head, you know that this is a part of the equation. And that's why I tell folks, don't put it the whole part of the equation. And it might have been a pretty good slice of the equation, but nevertheless, it is what it is. Here's what I always tell people. Some folk are just looking for the right person to say it's over. Mm-hmm. You just happen to be the one that fell into that equation at that time. The truth about it is the relationship was over with long time ago.
Correct.
It just took time for what was happening in the spiritual realm and in the thought realm to manifest in the physical realm.
But again, that goes back to, like we said, at the third point, the third podcast on this topic, co-parenting. Those unresolved issues, you will project that onto, if not that woman, it's going to be projected onto that child.
Real talk. You
have to understand you got to look in the mirror and look at your issues. Because if you are at the point where you are still bitter and you're still angry, it is very hard to function from a place of healthiness if you're bitter and you have all these unresolved issues.
That's real talk.
This man or this woman is now with the woman or man that took you, that broke up your relationship. You projecting that onto that child is not going to get y'all back together. It's only going to give that child depression, anxiety, and put them in a bad place cognitively. Or you can say, I'm going to find some counseling, some healing of my own, so that I will not pass this bitterness, these unresolved issues, onto my child, onto this man and whatever he's trying to do. If that man left you for that woman, that has nothing to do with your responsibility to raise a healthy child.
Hey, to the man. Wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. Wait 1 minute. Hold on.
All right, look, we fixing our chairs and carrying on. Okay. It does not in any way alleviate your responsibilities to put in the work necessary to create a healthy, functioning child. But instead, we look for allies and we look for partners.
The cosign.
I don't like your daddy. I'm glad you don't like him.
Right. The cosign. Yeah. He would, girl, child, please. You know, hold it. And that's the thing. And the truth about it is, and ladies, y'all can like it, leave it, or love it. Men, a lot of times, get the short end of the stick on this. Because like I always say, when a man cheats on a woman, first thing the women say is, girl, you know, they dogs, that's what they do. But when a woman cheats on a man, first word out your girlfriend's mouth is, girl, what did he do to make you do that?
You know, it just boils down to when we start looking at, you're angry at the daddy. It's nothing that gives that woman more joy than when that child says, well, your daddy want to come get you this weekend. Well, do I have to go, mama? No, you don't have to go. She don't want to go. You don't need to come over here. She don't want to go. It gives you a sense of joy to tell her that she don't want to go with you today. My thing is, sweetie, why don't you want to go?
Right.
Well, my friends down the street are having a birthday party, and I thought I would stay home and go to that. Oh, you're disappointed that her not wanting to go is not because she don't like her dad.
Right. That part.
But the joy comes, now we're talking about unresolved issues.
Come on.
The joy comes when that child, I don't want to go with my mama. Why not? I don't know. I don't like it over there. Ooh, yeah. Well, he ain't coming because he don't like it over there. He said he don't like that dude that you're with because he a punk. And the child looking like, I didn't say any of that. You know, I didn't say any of that. Yeah, he said he don't know if he's gonna be coming like he been coming since you want to be dating and carrying on. Go ahead on and date them. And all the while you sitting there saying these things in front of this child.
Right. And the child goes, I ain't said none of that.
I didn't say none of that. You know, so we are at the point where we coming up on our hour. But this thing we're talking about, if I had to give you, this is the third podcast we've done on co-parenting. This is the last episode in this series.
The trilogy is now coming to an end.
If we've talked about this 3 times, so if you put a gun to my head and said, give me one thing that you want me to take away from this.
Come on.
Whether you and that man or that woman are together or not, you have a responsibility to be a healthy parent and create a healthy child.
True that.
You have a responsibility to do that.
Right.
Now, I didn't say you can waive that right if you mad at that person. No. Win, lose, or draw, mad, happy, or sad, the two of you have a responsibility to give your best to that child. And at the end of the day, we know when we're not giving our best.
Correct.
We know.
Correct.
We know when we bitter, when we angry, when we're hostile, and our children are suffering. So get it together.
I have an easy way of saying it. If you're good, you can fool some of the people some of the time. If you're great, you can fool all the people all the time. But you can't fool yourself, and you sure can't fool God.
That's right.
Those two folks know what's going on in your head, and they know the intentions that are coming from your heart. See, I tell a lot of folks, you project that you're doing the right thing, but you know what ill intentions you had behind whatever it was that you were doing. And guess what? As a good comedian friend of mine says, God is not pleased. And that's why a lot of times you ask yourself, why is this trap that I set for this person didn't spring the way it needed to? And all of a sudden it looked like it's done sprung on me, because you should have never tried to set the trap in the first place. Love folk. Just love folk. Love folk. Love them. Love them. Say, listen.
Especially your children.
Bingo. That part.
Especially your children.
We got about a minute and a half left. I'm gonna turn it all over to my brother.
Man, we are in a world now where we have forgotten the greatest job we have on this planet is that of a parent. It's the greatest job that we have on this planet is to raise our children, love our children, and create healthy adults so that we can break this cycle that we have, this cycle of suicide, the cycle of violence, the cycle of uncaring. It starts with us as parents. If you need help with parenting, or if you think that you could use some more education, just because you get educated, children are changing, parenting is changing. Sometimes you need to reach out and get some help. Find someone, positivechoicescounseling.org. You can go to the website. We do parenting classes. We have tons of information. All I know is that we have a responsibility to go back to where we lost our children and get them. We have a responsibility to them to go back to where we left them and find them. So me and Brother Dupree, we do this every week, and we come here every Wednesday so that we can help you be a better you. We say a healthy you is a better you. So at the end of this day, with these last 10 seconds left, what I always say, Brother Dupree, if nobody else told you today, we love you. Peace. We'll see y'all next week.